Good evening. This evening is really worth my taking a couple of cleansing breaths because, yes, the evening is good, but tonight it is a great evening for reasons that you will all understand as the evening progresses and you get a chance to hear the phenomenal nominators that we have and the amazing teachers who have been elected to be Carlston Family Foundation honorees this year. Hi, I'm Kathy Williams, and I'm the chair of the board of Above and Beyond. Tonight is about honoring 4 amazing teachers. Each will be recognized by their former student, who is one of many former students for whom tonight's honorees have had a life-changing impact on. So here's the evening flow. I'll give you an idea of how this is all going to work. One of my fellow board members will introduce the former student who nominated the teacher. 2, then the student will get up and talk briefly about their teacher. And 3, lastly, the teacher will speak and receive their award. Just a bit of caution for you honorees about that award. I want you to let you know that although you will get a large check tonight, the IRS also will know that you're getting a large check tonight. And they're going to want their fair share in taxes. So there's actually nothing that we can do about that, so I apologize. Next year. So with that caveat and my promise to be brief, let's hear from the outstanding teachers and their students. And my first fellow board member, I think Ann Matheson, is going to introduce, where's Ann? Is going to introduce the next honoree. And the podium is yours.
Table number 2 is in the house. Yes. Hi, everybody. My name's Ann Matheson. I'm a board member, a proud board member of Above and Beyond. And I'm here tonight to introduce an amazing, I would say young man, but he's not too young anymore. Bobby Ray Jones, Jr. is a multi-talented force of inspiration. He has not only been an NBA player, but he lived in Italy for 10 years internationally, and he's now back in Compton, and he's teaching yoga and starting a whole thing, I think, around yoga, from what I can understand. He described himself as a master manifester, and after just a few minutes of conversation with him, I have to agree. So I'm really, really excited to bring him up to the stage here to introduce his nominee.
All right. Good evening, everyone. I'm first up. So thanks for Above and Beyond, I almost forgot the name, for inviting me to be a part of this wonderful thing you guys do every year. So give them a round of applause, first and foremost. We got how much time? 5 minutes, right? All right. Or less. All right. I won't go over. Yeah, I met Miss Borek back in 1998. I was a freshman. She was my English teacher. I love writing, and looking back, there was a lot of things that I did growing up that, let me know that I love writing. And Ms. Borek was my first white teacher ever. I say that not in a bad way, but that's just what it was. She was very young, too. I think she said her second or third year teaching in the Compton Unified School District. And so it was a clash of cultures. And I was a very good student. I played basketball, I ran track, I was a good athlete, but I love to learn. I love stories, I love traveling. So again, I had all these things that as I get older that were hobbies turned into passions and now turned into a business. But back at Dominguez, Miss Borek was just, I don't know, she had a lot of energy. She was very happy, she was very encouraging, and she always motivated me to keep writing, and just the things about her, how she loved books. I don't read a lot of books, but you just knew she loved books. She mentioned it every day. And again, that's part of being a teacher. You got to show your personality. You can't just be a robot. You got to, adjust to the students. You can't make the students always adjust to you. So long story short, I stayed at Dominguez, and every time I went to 10th grade or 11th grade, I would go back to R9 and visit her. I did not visit a lot of my other former teachers on campus, but I always came and checked on her for some reason. And the best part about this story is that, again, when I moved back to America 2 years ago, I lived in Italy for 12 years, I tell people it's harder to go back into Compton than it is to leave Compton. Both are equally hard, but as I'm learning, it's even harder. And so when I came back to Compton, I went to Dominguez, and I knew she was there, but still, I'm sure she gets random students that come all the time and check in on her. And so when I checked in on her, I was like, Ms. Borek, I want to do a contest with the kids. I want to do a video contest. And the contest was I want to travel the world. So I had kids make a video explaining what country they wanted to visit, why. Because, again, I love videos, I love documenting. And she let me do it. You wouldn't believe, I went to other schools in Compton, elementary, private schools that I went to, and did the same thing with other teachers. She's the only teacher that allowed me to do it. Because they was like, yeah, I'll do it, but they never followed through. But she allowed me to do it, and then I was able to get some free laptops to donate, some Adidas gear to the kids. So again, I love to pour into my community, but a lot of people don't allow me to pour for whatever reason. I'm not gonna worry about that, but she did. And 2 years later, she supports me in my yoga. She comes almost every time at the Compton Airport with her husband and daughter. She came to my art exhibit I did. I had kids draw or paintings, Compton theme. We put in an art gallery so they can see their stuff in a real art gallery, not just in the office at school. And they always pull up, just like Scott is filming on my phone. They always support me. So when Scott asked me to write this letter, it was a no-brainer. It was a no-brainer. I didn't know if we was gonna win, but it was a no-brainer. And literally 3 days ago, I interviewed her for my podcast. I have a podcast, Growing Up Compton podcast, because I consider her, she's from Compton. She's been there for 28 years. She said estimately between 5,000 and 6,000 students she has taught. And she has put her imprint on Compton more than I have at this moment. And so that's why I wanted to bring her on, because her perspective, her lens on why she stayed in Compton. She could have left a long time ago, but she decided to stay. So that was probably the most inspiring thing for me, in that we have a friendship now as adults, not just as a student. I know every other nominee has a different relationship with their teacher, or maybe they just saw, I remember one of the nominators said they haven't seen their teachers since high school. So that's the thing, the full circle moment. So I'm appreciative that I'm able to come up here and help you just like you helped me, because it's all about helping each other. And it's not always about a check, obviously, but when you do good things, money will find you. So hopefully. So thank you guys, and thank you, Ms. Borek. There you go. We gotta take a picture right here. Make the sign.
So things I remember about Bobby.
Scholar Bobby.
Scholar Bobby, thank you very much, Scholar Bobby. That's right. That's right. That's right. That's right. That was a real thing. Things I remember about Scholar Bobby over here. He didn't quite fit into his desk very well, but he sure tried. He was very, very, very curious, and that was one of the things our our athletes had a reputation, whether it was deserved or not, that they were in school mostly for the basketball, but Bobby was there for the knowledge. And I always respected that about you. And he was one of my first students, so I was maybe 23 when I was teaching you. Did you just age me? Wow, I heard that sigh. Okay. But it was one of those things where I was so young and is this my job? Is this my career? And then I would see a face like Bobby's, where he's just sitting there like, your computers are named Plato, Aristotle, and Socrates. I want to learn about them. And I thank you for that. I thank you for just being that encouraging student who make, you know how it is, the students who make you want to stay. And that's what you did, Bobby. That's what you did. And here's the thing. We talked a lot about belonging and home, and today at the in-service in here, and I thought that was just really great. And I think, have any of you guys ever said, I want to go home even when you're at home? I just want to go home. There's something about we want to belong somewhere. And you've helped me feel like I belong in Compton. So we just did a podcast. This is why, Bobby and I have a relationship now, like a human being relationship, not just student-teacher. And it's one of those things where he asked me stories during this podcast, not just about my teaching, but about who I was. And it's like, you're telling people stories. That's what you did for my students. That's what you did for me. And this is why this is this reciprocal relationship. As a teacher, we want to tell stories. We want our students to tell stories. But you're having people in Compton tell their stories that have often been told for them, you know? Compton's got a reputation where other people have told them their stories. And Jason, you know, our students have stories to tell that are brilliant and amazing and complicated. And I think that's the beauty, is that it's getting a new name and people are telling their stories, not having them told for them. And I appreciate you bringing that. Thank you. Yeah. And one last thing, and then I'll go. This is such an inappropriate story. But when I was a brand new beginning teacher, I'm not going to tell you the whole thing because it's inappropriate. But one of the worst things I ever did as a teacher, and it was based on a journal question, it was totally naive. I accidentally taught the worst word to my 9th graders. A curse word unlike any that you would have heard. It was an accident. It was one of those things. I'm not going to say it. Don't worry. It rhymes. And it was one of those. We were doing a journal, and you were in that class, and it's one of the most mortifying experiences of my teaching life. But it was based on a journal, and we were doing this journal, and I was like, things you learn from neighbors. And my neighbor that year was mean, and he was saying things to his wife that were terrible. And I was telling that to you guys, and you didn't know what the word was. And then all of a sudden, they were saying the word out loud in class. And that was Bobby saying that word out loud in class. I am mortified. I am mortified and terrified. But thank you, Bobby. Thank you for, I don't know what you guys were doing, and I don't know what Jason Morgan had to do with all this, but I'm not. Oh, Wayne Brady doing that story at the Acme. No, it's somebody else's turn. But there's a couple drinks later, you can hear this story. But thank you. I appreciate it.